Podcast is brought to you by AlleyRepair.com. Don't leave your skee ball machines lying around collecting dust in the basement. Let AlleyRepair.com bring those machines back to life. High quality workmanship for your skee ball playing needs. Contact Alley Repair today. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Fro Wrestling Podcast. This episode we reflect on both Raw and SmackDown this week while reviewing the current WWE news, examine the latest re-signing binge Ring of Honor has been on, discuss the Wrestle Kingdom 11 results, touch on some interesting tidbits with TNA, we cover the projected matches for WrestleMania 33, and what impact the Royal Rumble might have on creative and their plans for the marquee matches, and finally we're going to talk about some dream booking for WrestleMania 33 and try to get our own creative juices flowing. Let's get started with a discussion about what we're seeing on both Raw and SmackDown, with a little comparison and contrast. Not that I want everyone to make Venn diagrams like we're back in school, but there's definitely some similarities and differences between the shows, and it's beginning to make for some really interesting storylines. First, the similarities. On Raw, we got to see the United States title defended a lot like the Intercontinental title was defended on SmackDown. I think it's essential to keep these titles relevant, add prestige to their lineages. The past few years have been just nothing, total garbage. For every time you have John Cena using the U.S. title on a weekly basis, having a run there, it seems like we have 2 weeks of Dolph Ziggler as Intercontinental Champion, or 1 week for Zack Ryder, or a month of flip-flopping back and forth between different competitors taking the belt or whatever, so on and so forth. And in the territorial days, back in the day, those championships were prestigious. If you were the Intercontinental or the United States Champion, you weren't a second-tier talent. The World Champion was the number one attraction in every area, and the United States or the Intercontinental Champion was like the 1A. This is still a necessary component. Now, on Raw, we had our authority figures front and center this week. We did the same thing on SmackDown for a little while. We had women's storylines that needed to have some fuel added to their fire on both shows. We even have, some secondary women's feuds now boiling up to the main event picture. It's so uncharacteristic of WWE to give so many women an opportunity to be part of marquee matchups. As for the contrast, Raw's U.S. title match was a throwaway. It's been done to death for the last 2 months. We've seen Roman Reigns and Chris Jericho so many times, I'm sick of seeing it. Same thing with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Like the four of these people, they're in everything. The Intercontinental title match on SmackDown, somewhat fresh. Yes, Dean Ambrose has wrestled The Miz before, but not like the two have never wrestled, but not with the same intensity with the respective significant others involved in the storyline. The backstory's been awesome. It was built just the right way by SmackDown. As for the tag team scene, Cesaro and Sheamus are booked to look completely irrelevant. And eventually, it's obvious. They're going to meet their demise. It can't happen soon enough if you ask me. I'm still waiting to see Cesaro win the world title for a change. On SmackDown, the tag team titles seem to be more about American Alpha just being on television. They wrestled essentially a squash match, which is completely worthless. No one's giving Breezango any kind of credit anytime soon. We need to see some quality tag team wrestling because for the first time in a lot of years, WWE has a lot of quality tag teams. The insane talent of Gallows and Anderson has totally been wasted for the better part of 9 months. And frankly, when they debuted for the first time, I thought WWE was going to turn the corner in tag team wrestling. But aside from American Alpha and the New Day, no teams are really relevant. Maybe we can set up a new team to step up, take a piece of the brass ring, make a name for themselves. I was actually really excited to see Rusev and Jinder Mahal pairing up. I haven't seen Jinder Mahal do anything important in years, and I actually thought that looked interesting. It looked fresh, it looked new, it looked like something they really could play on. I'm praying WWE keeps that going for a while. But what about Enzo and Big Cass? How do you destroy a push in 3 weeks? A new book by WWE created. That should be published after what they've done to that team for everything they had going for them when they debuted. They've never had a title run the whole time they've been on the main roster. I already get annoyed seeing their ridiculous storyline. You had these guys come out the first week they were on Raw. The pop they got from the crowd back last summer was insane. Right after WrestleMania, everybody was like, wow, something new in the tag team world. And now you got a guy rolling around in the wheelchair. You got Big Cass getting beat. It's just bad taste in the mouth. We did get to see a little bit of the New Day. Very strange segment with Titus O'Neil trying to become a part of the New Day. I don't know why. For so long, I can't even understand why he's on the show anymore. Repackage the guy, give him a decent program, or cut him. TNA would have showcased the heck out of a guy like that. WWE just lets them sit in the background and be a jobber to the stars. It's really ridiculous. Raw saw the same 4 guys in major segments for the majority of the show again. It ate up way too much TV time. Yeah, they're all amazing talents. But these 4 guys eat up so much time. All these other amazing talents, they just toil in no man's land. SmackDown started something exciting with Dolph Ziggler turning heel. Building a program between Ziggler and Apollo Crews is a great idea. Apollo Crews, I think they really expected something from him, and since he got on the main roster, he's been nothing but garbage too. I'm glad to see him getting something potentially that could lead to a solid spot on the roster. I'll never understand why WWE insists on shoving Kalisto in our face. How are we ever supposed to buy a guy like Baron Corbin as a monster potential world title contender when he runs from Kalisto? Frankly, Kalisto should be on 205 Live, so we could actually care about his character, because right now I couldn't care less. His character's a tiny guy in big man's land, and that just doesn't make any sense, especially not when you're putting him against people who are supposed to be future world champion contenders. It's not my thing. We had some great women's action from Nia Jax and Bayley, the surprise return of Sasha Banks, launching 2 potentially huge, amazing feuds. And on the SmackDown side, Natalya and Nikki Bella bore me to death, whatever. They're putting their women out there on display, whatever. Women's Revolution, yay. But I thought that the Marie slapping incident with Renee Young was as compelling as anything the Bellas and Natalya are doing. But that's never going to lead to a match, so why are we doing it? Build excitement around the Intercontinental title match that's going to happen 20 minutes from now. There's no time to build up to that, so it did nothing for me. I actually enjoyed it, but it didn't do anything for me. I absolutely love the La Luchadora gimmick. I expect it to lead to big reveal at some point. Hopefully the return of Mickie James, but otherwise, Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch are having a great run without, the title switching hands every couple weeks. Sasha and Charlotte are amazing matches every time they're out there, but really shouldn't have seen that title switch that many times. Which leads me to Charlotte and Bayley. Raw's going to stretch that program out from now until WrestleMania, and by then, hopefully, it'll still feel good, but you'll have another instance of having the same women on TV every week beating a dead horse. I'm hoping they find a way to either wrap that program before WrestleMania and build a new one for Mania, or try not to make it so stale. Don't put them on TV every week. It really waters down the product. On Raw, we got to see Sami Zayn completely obliterated right before the Royal Rumble, which makes virtually no sense. Now we're supposed to believe that the guy's injured and he can't compete. The Royal Rumble's the perfect place to put him out there. You don't have to let him win the thing, but he's an attraction. Leave him in the Rumble. Now you have to wonder where they're going to go with this storyline. We saw Braun Strowman built up a little bit, only to get destroyed himself in the show. Whereas SmackDown, we saw Baron Corbin insert himself into the Royal Rumble, get nose-to-nose with John Cena, throw absolutely no punches, but still create buzz for the future. Now, Raw had some of that, but I fear theirs will never happen. It's the potential Roman Reigns versus Goldberg match, or even a Kevin Owens versus Goldberg match. It wouldn't fit into the time frame that WWE has for Goldberg. If they choose to rush the program for one of those matches, it could draw huge money, but it could also hurt the reputation of whoever loses ahead of WrestleMania. And I don't really see Goldberg sticking around for another 2 years or so. So what they effectively did was create all new dream matches for us to get frustrated with when they don't happen. That being said, the final Raw segment was interesting. It ended the show with an amazing double spear on Braun Strowman, but otherwise, I'm old school. Wrestling fans like to see actual wrestling close out the show. They like to see whoever the winner is putting their hands up as they roll the credits. SmackDown had an in-ring segment too, interview style with the whole contract signing. But you saw Daniel Bryan go in there, say his piece, and leave the ring, and allow the talents to be the center of attention. He talked minimally, unlike Stephanie and Mick Foley, the dialogue that made me want to throw up this week. They took up a huge chunk of time at the beginning of Raw. I don't need to see that anymore. I want to see the wrestlers. I don't want to see these backstage people and 20 minutes of interviews to start kick off Raw. Cena and AJ Styles had a great back and forth segment. It let John Cena continue his "because I'm John Cena" heel turn thing that has helped build up their match. This match is coming up at the Royal Rumble. It's already been done 3 times in the last 6 months, so I guess you got to have something new to talk about. Let's move on, because the WWE thing, some of it's great, but some of it really gets on my nerves. Let's move on to Ring of Honor. They are trying very hard to keep their talent. Over the past several weeks, they've announced some major re-signings. The Young Bucks, Jay Lethal, Bobby Fish, all signing new deals, all of them 2-year deals. There's one huge talent left unsigned, Kyle O'Reilly. Ring of Honor needs to lock him up. He's a huge draw for them and a talent they really would regret seeing on NXT. TNA. Also some interesting news this week. It's being reported by the Wrestling Observer that talks are ongoing with Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio. Despite Alberto's declining their offers back in 2015, TNA seems dead set on bringing the Austrian bar brawler, oh yeah, in case you missed it, Alberto and his brother El Hijo de Dos Caras. They're in a police department throwdown in Austria over the weekend. Blood on the walls and everything. I'm not committing another moment. I don't want to talk about El Patron anymore. He's clearly a hothead and needed some anger management. However, if TNA wants him that bad, I'm all in for signing a premier talent. In other words, TNA news, there's a lot of speculation out there. Eddie Edwards this week, who will defend a world championship against a mystery opponent, and the word is that mystery opponent may be Davey Richards, his tag team partner from the Wolves, who's been out recuperating from an ACL tear and becoming a first-time daddy with Angelina Love last spring. Richards has stated in the past that 2017 would be his last run in wrestling, so it would make a lot of sense. And if these two could rekindle the excitement they've displayed in the past when they've been matched up with each other, this week's broadcast is definitely worth tuning in for. Speaking of El Patron, I know I said I wouldn't bring him up anymore, but I'm going to bring him up just for a second, because his lady friend / fiance Paige was backstage at Raw for a few moments, long enough for her to update the WWE on her progress following her serious neck injury and surgery. I, for one, am hoping she makes it back sooner than later, as WWE could be missing out on some marquee programs between her and any of the newer female talents on the other brand. While we're at it, after getting demolished in 48 seconds, I've heard people saying Ronda Rousey's lost her star appeal in WWE. You know, that's nonsense. Are you trying to tell me, like, if Ken Shamrock came back to WWE right now, being a shell of a UFC fighter for the last 15 years, you wouldn't pop just for seeing him just a little bit? You see him in the ring where he actually might be able to compete again? He may be older and over the hill, but wrestling fans like tough guys and gals, and Rousey would bring legitimacy to the women's division, like Brock does. Brock was clobbered. He was absolutely destroyed by Alistair Overeem. Came back to WWE being an instant success, top box office draw. Rousey versus Charlotte would be the same thing. Bring the girl in, train her, put her in a program that matters. You may even open the door to other current former UFC women who could really boost the women's revolution. And, you know, just saying, Misha Tate, bring these kind of people in. Let's move on. Suspected WrestleMania card and the effect the Rumble might have on the show. By the way, if we're really having a women's revolution, when do we get a female Royal Rumble? You know, if we're doing this whole build up the women to be on the same par as the guys someday main eventing WrestleMania, I just thought I'd throw that out there. We're all hoping for surprise entrances just like we do every year. This year, I'm really not as worried about surprise people as I would be to see NXT better represented. Samoa Joe, Ty Dillinger, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, whoever, they need to be represented loud and proud. NXT is going strong and deserves to be a part of the future shows of the Royal Rumble. Right now, you have so much talent. Even Asuka, you know, she gets into record books this week, having the longest run as NXT Women's Champion of all time. JBL and Paul Heyman, along with Peter Rosenberg on that new show after Raw, discussed the potential for WWE's newest network presentation to bring to the table. They had similar sentiments about NXT. That show was amazing, by the way. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, please go to the network. If you have the network, watch it. It wasn't the best production in the world, but definitely was something new. Paul Heyman and JBL are already, I love that tandem. Heck, even the 205 Live segment had excitement this week with Tajiri coming back and spitting in the face and setting up a feud with Brian Kendrick. Back to Mania, though. The majority of fans expect a few matches already, so some people more than others have already done their own fantasy booking in their head, or they read the sheets and try to figure out what's going to happen. I've learned over the years that WWE never puts anything in stone. It's interesting to hear Daniel Bryan voice some of his frustrations this week, talking about part-timers taking prime spots at Mania in his recent comments, but those types of comments are the kind of reality shoot interview type of comments fans go nuts for. For now, let's look at the most likely matches at Mania, starting with Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. I can't see that being for the Universal title, so I expect Kevin Owens is going to lose the title before the big pay-per-view. But I'm not sure when or to who yet. Most likely Roman Reigns, because he's the only guy Vince seems to want to push him on Raw. But that has to be that's been done, so I'm tired of seeing Reigns with the belt. Oh, whatever. It's Raw, so everything old as well. It's not exactly new, but whatever you want to call it, Vince will do what Vince wants to do. We expect to see the destruction of the Wyatt family at some point. I'm hoping that brings some kind of surprise swing for Bray, making him a babyface in some point 2017, but I'll hold my breath on that one. Rumors are talking Charlotte versus Bayley is going to be stretched out all the way to Mania. We can expect to see that. We'll probably see the long-rumored, potentially god-awful match between the Big Show and Shaquille O'Neal, and of course, we've all been waiting for 2 years to see Triple H take on Seth Rollins after all this build. We're going to be confident that we're going to get to see Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar's rubber match after the Survivor Series and whatever happens at the Royal Rumble, which, by the way, fans currently are voting on various websites. One of the sites, forgive me because I don't remember which one, has 58% of the voting fans thinking Goldberg's going to win the Rumble. I can't even see that. But if it does, we better see him versus Reigns right away. That better be why they would pull that off. Finally, the long awaited John Cena versus The Undertaker match. This is what we can be confident in so far. As I said, things can change, but my guts tell me those are the matches that are set in stone. Before I get into booking my own WrestleMania, though, I have to give mad respect to New Japan Pro Wrestling for Wrestle Kingdom 11. Killer, amazing show. Killer product. Heck, even Seth Rollins was on Twitter today. He's put down on his Twitter feed, I'll even quote him, pretty awesome to see professional wrestling on all levels alive and well all over the world. That's awesome. WWE better be happy they're in Japan, because here in the United States, WWE would have a run for their money. Wait, they've announced that a tour is coming to the United States. Stay tuned for more on that in the coming weeks. And as for Wrestle Kingdom, I'm going to quick blow through the results for you, just for those who are familiar with the product. If you are not, please find a way to get it on your television, or wait and get it tuned to Access Television. Take a look at their episodes there. Their product is out of this world. The New Japan Rumble, a lot very similar to the Royal Rumble, included stars from all walks of wrestling life: Billy Gunn, Jushin Thunder Liger, Tiger Mask, Nakanishi, Yoshitatsu, Tenzan, Scott Norton, Cheeseburger from Ring of Honor, even the eventual winner, Michael Elgin. Great match. Kota Ibushi and ACH, and I apologize, I shouldn't say that, because Kota Ibushi and ACH weren't on the show, quote unquote. Tiger Mask W and Tiger the Dark battled in their cartoonish match, with Tiger Mask W coming out the victor. For those who don't know, the high speculation is that Tiger Mask W is Kota Ibushi. The Young Bucks lost their IWGP Junior Tag Team titles. The never openweight 6-man titles changed hands. Cody Rhodes made an impact. Adam Cole became the first ever 3-time Ring of Honor champion, defeating Kyle O'Reilly. The IWGP Tag Team titles changed hands to Yano and Ishii. The IWGP Junior Championship changed hands as Takahashi upset like the perennial megastar of the division, Kushida. Shibata went over Hiroki Goto for the never openweight title. Tetsuya Naito conquered the legendary Hiroshi Tanahashi for the IWGP Intercontinental title. Killer match. And in the main event, the G1 Climax tournament winner from this past summer, Kenny Omega, lost in his bid to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and fell to probably, just my opinion, one of the greatest talents in the history of wrestling, Kazuchika Okada. In all, there were 6 title changes, total non-stop action, fast-paced, start to finish, unbelievable. In our final segment today, we're fantasy booking WrestleMania 33. Here are the matches I would book if WWE put me in charge of the biggest event. First off, obviously, I would keep the Cena-Undertaker match, because it might be the last time we get any shot at that one at WrestleMania. Same goes for the Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho match. I wouldn't change that a thing. I think that's long overdue already. Triple H versus Seth Rollins. Gotta leave that one there. We've been waiting for forever. After that, I'd change up everything. I'm disappointed to hear Shawn Michaels' appearance on Raw on January 9th is going to be related to his movie release. I couldn't care less about the movie. I love Shawn Michaels. He is my absolute alpha #1 favorite wrestler of all time. Maybe he and Sting are tied. But I would have loved to have seen him booked against AJ Styles, just like everyone was dreaming of seeing. If we stick strictly to matches that involve current talent, though, I'd put AJ up against Finn Balor at Mania. They would steal the show. I'd include DDP, the first Hall of Fame inductee that's been announced this week, in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And I'd even have him win it. Final send-off for his career. You're in the Hall of Fame, and here's the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner. As for the rest of the card, Roman Reigns, I would book that match with Goldberg. Give the title to Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, book him against Goldberg, let Goldberg win. I don't care about this rubber match thing. I want to see Goldberg in a marquee match. It's not the same thing I've seen close before. Brock Lesnar, Now that he's freed up, he'd face either Bray Wyatt or Samoa Joe. I'm leaning more towards Bray Wyatt for a very simple reason. In case people forgot, last year at the Royal Rumble, the Wyatt family cost Brock his shot at the title by dumping him over the rope. That storyline never materialized, it just sat out there. It had so much potential. I'd make it come true this year if it's possible. I'd like to see the New Day break up before the show and put all three of those members in a ladder match along with Cesaro and Sheamus, Sami Zayn. And I'd transition that United States title to one of them before the show and make it a ladder match for the U.S. title. I don't even care who you have come out of that. I'd probably have Sami Zayn come out with the U.S. title, give him some gold for a change. I'm all in favor of Braun Strowman doing battle with Baron Corbin in a cross-branded inter-promotional match. The winner getting the number one contender spot for their brand's world title. If you want to build these two guys to be real main event talents, put them in the ring together. They're both bad guys. You almost never see that in WrestleMania. They're both big, tough, strong. You could really book an interesting match there. You have to have cruiserweights somewhere, so I'd have a whole mess of them in a battle for their title. Who cares who wins unless you can bring in Kota Ibushi. If he's back, put the belt on him and make him the megastar he could be. Kota Ibushi is one of the most talented performers in the world. As for the women, I am in favor of, I don't need a title. I don't need a title match for the women. I want to see the 4 horsewomen in a battle. Another cross-branded match. Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, Becky Lynch. Put them all together. Let that match happen on the biggest stage. No title necessary. And if you really want to get nifty, bring in Ronda Rousey and her 4 horsewomen to be outside the ring watching. All kinds of things you can do with that at the later point. As for the tag teams, one gigantic match of some sort. Gotta include American Alpha, Enzo, Big Cass, anyone else you could build up quick, because I'm tired of these patchwork tag teams. Put in your Rusev and Jinder Mahal. I really like that team. My last match, my dream, and I know I'm in the minority here. My dream, we announce the Intercontinental Championship match. Dean Ambrose coming out to defend against The Miz. Have The Miz jump him before the bell, injure him, allow him to try to fight back. The refs are telling him he can't wrestle. He's fighting the refs. Try to get him into the ring. They make the decision he cannot wrestle. He's not medically clear to wrestle. He has to forfeit the title. I feel a lot of the old Dean Douglas feelings. He can object for a few minutes. Eventually, they got to force him to the back. The Miz gets the belt. He stands up on the ring apron, takes the microphone, issues an open challenge to any wrestler in the back who think they can wrestle the title away from him. Cue the music. You suck. You suck. Kurt Angle returns and takes the Intercontinental title from The Miz at WrestleMania. That's all the time we have for this episode, but check back with us in episode 3 where we cover all the happenings in the world of wrestling and keep you posted on all the behind-the-scenes information. Special thanks go out to bensound.com, purpleplanet.com, and Monk Turner, producing all of our music and sound effects used throughout today's show. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by fastweb.com. Search FastWeb's database and help your student access scholarships and financial aid information with the FastWeb free and easy-to-use scholarship search engine. Investigate the college of your dreams with the FastWeb College Profile search engine. Let FastWeb be your guide to higher education. To the U.S. News & World Report Best Colleges 2017, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble right now. To Foppy Metal Detectors Plus, whether you're the casual hunter, the energetic beachcomber, or the underwater enthusiast, Foppy Detectors have solutions for all your metal detector needs. To AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for your servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade needs. And to A&B Education of Lansdale, bringing intercultural education to talented students from around the world. We want to thank you for listening to today's podcast, and we encourage you to go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com to learn more about what Mr. Fro can do for you. Remember, Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro, and I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today. We look forward to discussing more current events and rumors on our next show. So long, everybody.